Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at our monthly prophetic meeting as we're speaking into the Hebrew month Elul. We're so excited to be with you, and I'm trying to get a couple of links up, and we'll get started. All right, we'll get started. All right. So I pray you're having a great, well, it's just the beginning of the Hebrew month Elul, but we're ending the month of August. And so in a lot of ways, we're ending a season because September is coming into a new season, which is known as fall. And so I pray you've had a great, I pray you've had a great summer. Okay. A lot of us have been working hard and doing what we do, taking care of our families and taking care of our businesses and doing what we can to pursue God and go after God. So there's always a lot going on in life. And so I want you to know how much I appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. All right. So I'm going to be on Zoom, and you're here in YouTube, but I've got my camera on. Actually, I have my phone on, so I can dialogue with you and see your comments. And if you have any questions, or if you want to share any experiences that you had as we're coming into the month, then I encourage you to do so. You are also thinking, if you had any encounters that is speaking to this new month that we have entered in, the month Elul, then please share this. This is not just a monologue. We are always interested in hearing about your experiences and hearing about things that the Lord is doing in your life and how He is blessing you. So, Father, we honor you tonight. We thank you that we have come into a new month, a new season. We thank you for the month Elul and for what it represents for us in the spirit and what it represents prophetically. And we just thank you tonight for leading us in times and in seasons and in giving us revelation and helping us to know what you are doing and what you are calling us to do and what you are warning us to do and not to do, and how you are leading us. And we're so excited to be in this brand new month. We're so excited to be in the month Elul and for all that it represents. And I pray that as we are sharing tonight, not really teaching, but as we are sharing the principles that we have gleaned and that we have learned, and we're continuing to learn, because we believe that the process of knowing your voice, your ways, of knowing you prophetically, of knowing you Hebraically, and even in embracing the Hebrew mindset. And I pray tonight that many of your people will embrace the Hebrew mindset, and that you will break us out of the Greek mindset that we have received from education and from religion, the Greek mindset that has caused us not to act, but we want to come into the Hebrew, because we know that Hebrew means to cross over. And as a prophetic people, we are crossing over every month. We are entering into, and we are crossing over. We're leaving the past. We're embracing the present, and we are seeing the future. And so we thank you. We thank you. We thank you in Yeshua's name. Amen. Listen, I see 6 of you have joined us, and so if you can just write your name in the chat box so we can know who you are. And listen, I got a surprise for y'all tonight. I've got a PowerPoint, and I don't normally I do PowerPoints when I'm teaching in our Bible study for the Renaissance Prophetic Network, but I normally don't do PowerPoints for the prophetic meaning, but it's such an interesting month, and there was a lot that I wanted to share with you. And so we decided to do a PowerPoint. It's not easy doing the PowerPoints because it requires a lot more work. And listen, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm not complaining, but I have a very full day. And when I get home from work, I have to take a nap because I'm tired. Then I get up and I get ready to meet with you. So it's not always possible for me to do a PowerPoint, but this is an unusual month, and I'm not promising we're going to do a PowerPoint every month, but we may endeavor to do PowerPoints because I know that I hope the PowerPoints are helpful. I believe it helps us in Renaissance. I believe it helps us to understand the communication. So I hope that this PowerPoint will help you. Okay, so we're looking at. I'm having a problem with my having a problem with my internet. Please write in the chat box that you can hear me clearly. Because I just lost my I just lost my my camera. All right. So if you can listen, so if you can hear me and if you can see me, please write in the chat box that I'm coming through clear. Okay. Please write that I'm coming through clear. All right. Thank you, Shy. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So I'm assuming everybody can see me. Everybody can see here. Thank you, Andrew. All right. Great. All right. So let me continue. So on our first page, we have actually the picture of the Hebrew year. So we've got the picture of the Hebrew year, and we are currently in the 6th month, counting from Nisan. Now, the Hebrew calendar is very different from our calendar, and so sometimes it can get confusing. But this month, Nisan, I'm pointing. I hope you can see that. But this month, Nisan, is actually the first month of the spiritual new year. Okay, it's called the spiritual new year because this is the month where God brought Israel out of Egypt. Okay, and that's recorded in Exodus, I think, chapter 12. And when God brought them out of Egypt, he said, this is a new beginning. And this is the beginning of the month. So God changed the time. Now we know that in Genesis chapter 1, okay, we know that God created time, okay, on the 4th day. All right, so I'm going to talk a lot about numbers tonight because I wanted to talk about the number 222, which I'd seen several times last week. The number 2, and I know the number 2 represents agreement. It represents coming together. It also represents protecting, because that number 2, often what happens is that if we don't protect the relationships that we have, they can be brought into disagreement. All right. And so the number 2 represents agreement, but it also speaks to the key to the house of David. So the house of David is not really related to us in the new covenant, but the key is, because the key represents open doors, and God gives us keys because God is giving us the opportunity to open doors. And so when I saw the number 2, okay, I wanted to just speak to that for you. maybe you've been seeing the number 2. And so I'm not seeing it now, because what happens when you're seeing numbers, all right, once you come to an understanding of what the number is, usually the number goes away. So then you can assume that I understand the number. The reason why a lot of people keep seeing numbers is because they don't try to learn what the numbers are, and they don't try to understand what the Lord is saying through the numbers. So once I came to understand, so I believe for me personally, in one area of my life, the number 2 was talking about the possibility for me to get into disagreement in one of my relationships. Okay. And that actually did take place. All right. But then also the number 2 represents the keys. Okay. And when God gives you keys, then God is giving you opportunities to open doors. And and so although I have not seen those open doors yet, I'm believing that that's part of this season that I'm entering in. Okay, so I pray that that's a blessing to you. But the Hebrew year, okay, we actually start counting the months from Nisan because God changed the calendar, and so we go from Nisan to Iyar to Shavan to Tammuz to Aleph, and then to the month Elul. And so this is the 6th month, okay, of the spiritual year from Nisan to Elul. But then, okay, because Teshri, which is the 7th month, and Teshri is next month, because we have the month Teshri, in Teshri we have what is called Rosh Hashanah, which is another new year. But that is a natural new year. Okay, it is the new year. It has spiritual connotations to us who are prophetic, but Rosh Hashanah is the Hebrew New Year, and that is the year where contracts, a lot of businesses enter into business agreements during Rosh Hashanah. Okay, and again, I'm talking about the Jewish people. So what is Rosh Hashanah to us? Well, Rosh Hashanah is a new year as well, okay, because the Hebrew culture believes that God created the heavens and earth during Rosh Hashanah. There's even a teaching that I agree with, that Jesus was born during Rosh Hashanah, because Jesus' life aligned with the times and seasons of Israel. Jesus died during Passover, and most of the time Jesus were doing things during the seasons, and so it's very possible that Jesus was born during Rosh Hashanah, because that is the Jewish or the Hebrew New Year. All right. So next month, in the month of Teshri, we are coming into a second New Year. Okay, but the calendar, the months are counted from Nisan. So from the Nisan calendar, we're in the month of Elul, or the 6th month, and then on the civil New Year, or the head of the year, we are in the 11th month, and Teshri is the beginning of the civil year. Okay, and so that's why we have these different new years. Now, what we can learn prophetically from this is we don't have to be stuck in just one new year. Okay, we don't have to, just because we follow the Gregorian calendar and the new year starts on January 1st, that doesn't have to be the only new year in our life. You can make certain seasons new years in your life, and you can activate those years and make those years signposts. Okay, like one of the things that I do is February, because my birthday is in February. February is a new year for me. My birthday, February 27th. And so I make that a new year. And there are other, and so even though I do observe January 1st, which is the calendar of our land, but I also represent the Hebrew New Year. So this month. I'm looking at this month as the end. I'm looking at this month as the end of a year as we're coming into Rosh Hashanah, Teshri, which is the beginning of a year. So this is a year to finish some things. This is a year to look over the last year. This is a year to plan for the new year. Okay. All right. So how I share the prophetic meanings of these months is we look at the Hebrew letters and we discern the prophetic meaning. What is the letters in the month saying to us? So the month Elul is spelled Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. Okay, so there are four Hebrew letters that make up this name Elul. All right, so Aleph is the first letter in the month, and we just came out of the month of Av, and Av also starts with the letter Aleph. Okay, and so Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet or the Hebrew alphabet, and of course Aleph represents the Father. Okay, so like last month was a month where we pursued the Father and went after the Father. All right, God bless you. Thank you for joining us, Praying Warrior. All right, last month was a month to meet the Father. I didn't finish my reflections on the Father, and that's what happens when you're working in business. And let me do some quick announcements. I'm sorry, I'm doing announcements sort of as we're in the middle of teaching, but I always want to share with you what's going on. So we have our links for giving, even though this is not our ministry. This is a part of prophetic lifestyles with Bernard Bolton, but we give you an opportunity to give to the ministry of Renaissance if you are led to do so. Okay, so there's a PayPal link that goes to the account for Renaissance, and then we have the Cash App where we receive offerings for Renaissance. Okay. And then thirdly, I have a third link there because this is my business now. I have both a ministry and a business. My ministry is Renaissance Prophetic Network. My business is Creative Awakening Academy. And so what we've been doing this year is we've been holding creative group sessions, creative coaching sessions. Okay, so they are group coaching sessions for creatives. And we will be holding our September session on September the 10th, even though I sent an announcement out and I announced that it was going to be September the 3rd, but we're going to move it to the 10th because it's a holiday weekend in the US, and we want to celebrate. This is the last holiday of the summer season, right? So we'll be holding that group coaching session on September the 10th. So if you want to register for that, even though I don't have much material to share with you, you'd have to join our mailing list, which is, you can sign up for our mailing list, in the description box, and you can get more information. Okay, so those are my announcements. Let's get back to the teaching. I apologize, y'all, but we try to do that at the beginning. So Aleph, the Hebrew letter Aleph, represents the Father. It also represents the ox. It represents a leader, because the Father is our leader. And then it represents strength, because the ox represents strength. The ox is a strong animal. Okay. Now, Aleph, because it is the first letter in the alphabet, it is linked to the number 1. Okay, so if you've been seeing the number 1, and if you see the number 1 in, like, if you see it in sequences, like 1-1 or 1-1-1 or 1-1-1-1, the thing you should pay attention to is the first number, okay, or sometimes the only number. The reason why you're seeing it in sequences is because in prophetic language, when God is emphasizing something, he will repeat it. Okay. And so it may be the number 1 or it may be the number 11. But if it's the number 1, then that number means that you are being called to the Father. Okay. And the Father, okay, by being called to the Father, that means that the Father wants to engage us. The Father wants to be with us. The Father wants us to be yoked or connected to him. Okay. So in the month Elul, just like the month Av, this month, we should seek after the Father. Okay. So, and not that we don't seek him, because we should always seek the Father. Now, I do want to say is that the reason why we teach that each month is a season is because we want to help you to prosper. And the seasons were given to us to cause us to prosper. So that means that there are certain things that you should be doing in that particular month that's going to cause you to prosper. Now, seeking after the Father should be our lifestyle, which means that we should be doing it all the time. But there are certain seasons where we want to make that a main purpose. Okay. So seeking after the Father becomes one of the purposes for this month, Elul. Okay, so we seek after the Father, even though we should seek after him throughout the year. But this is a particular season where you want to advance and to prosper. And there are certain things that you can do that's going to cause you to prosper because you are aligning with the purposes of that month, or you are aligning with the season. So when I see the letter Aleph and in the Hebrew month, then I know right away that I need to be thinking of the Father, even though my mind is always on the Father. But this is a month where I want to seek the Father in different ways. Okay, not just seeking him in the ways that I do it. Like some of us have certain you may have certain rituals, even though ritual is not a great word. You may have certain practices on how you seek the Father. For years, I sought the Father by reading the Word, praying the Word, and then writing in my journal what the Father was saying to me. Now I'm in a new place and I'm older, and I seek the Father differently. Okay, so now I have a different way of seeking the Father. So this is a month where I'm going to be seeking after the Father, but I'm looking for how to seek him in this month. How to seek him in the month of Elul. How does the Father want me to join him this month? Okay, even though we are connected to him, all right, then he may be calling you to make it an emphasis. Okay, he may be saying, I want you to make this a main thing for the month Elul. All right, this is also a month where, because we are yoked to the Father becomes our strength. So if you've been dealing with weakness, if you've been dealing with areas of weakness, if you've been sort of weak in your emotions, I sort of sense that in the spirit that many of us, by this time of the year, it's the last part of the year. Many of us have gone through some great trials this year. And so by usually the last months, we are tired. We are just tired. Some of you are ready for vacation. I was at a leaders retreat a couple of weeks ago, and I kept hearing the Lord say vacation. I prophesied that to the conference hosts. I prophesied, and then I was in the group, and we was prophesying to the group, and I was looking at several of them, and the Lord said several of them need to go on vacation. So vacation is because of the level of work and energy that they have been pouring out. And so it's usually by September, we are tired. And I sense that many of us are tired, and we're tired in our emotions. We're tired of the things that's going on in our life. Many of us are just tired, and so when you get in that place, you want to receive the strength of the Father, okay? Not try to find your own strength, but find strength in the Father. Okay, now, because now 4 of the month starts with the letter Aleph. I failed to write what 4 months those are, but I remember Iyar is one of the months which follows the month of Nisan. Pentecost sometimes fall during that month. Then we have the month Av, we have this month Elul, and then we have a 4th month. So that means that most of the year, our purpose is in seeking the Father, okay? Because when that letter Aleph, that means that the emphasis for that season is on the Father, okay? And so, so again, I just want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to make this the month, and also the monthly law, which started on Sunday. Now, depending on which calendar, some calendars say it started Friday night. Some people they start the Hebrew calendar on the evening. Okay, but the first day of Elul was actually this past Sunday, the 28th. All right, and so one of the things you want to do is you want to look at what days, as it corresponds with our calendar, also is the month of Elul. All right. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Do I have any questions from any of y'all? Please write in the chat box if you have some questions or you have some comments, or this is speaking to you. We would love to hear from you. All right. Hey, Olarimi, thank you for joining us. All right, so the second letter is the letter Lamed, and Lamed is actually in this month, in this name. Lamed is here twice. Okay, and so whenever one letter appears twice in a Hebrew word, that means that the Father is emphasizing that letter. It's sort of like the Father is saying, pay attention to this letter. So as I was preparing to share the prophetic meaning of this month, I was drawn to the letter Lamed, which appears twice. And I could hear the Father saying that this is a month where I am dealing with hearts. I'm dealing with the hearts of my people. And when we talk about the heart, we're talking about the center of our being, the center of our personality. And there's a lot of words that describe the inner being. So we have the heart, we have the mind, we have the soul, we have the spirit. But the heart actually functions as the inner part of us, the essence of who we are. Okay. And so Lamed is considered the heart. It represents the heart because it is the heart it is considered the heart of the Aleph, which is the Hebrew alphabet. It is the 12th letter. Okay. Lamed is the 12th letter. And of course, 12 is the number for government. All right. And order. But 12 also, 12. But then Lamed is also the tallest letter in the alphabet, which makes it the central letter. Okay, so it's the center of the alphabet, which is what the heart represents. The heart, and we're not talking about the physical organ, the heart, even though that's a good picture, because our physical heart is the center of our being. Without a heart, we cannot exist. But then our inner being has a heart. And that inner being has a heart also is that inner being as a heart also, it stands before us as the tallest and as the central, because that's what your heart is. The heart is the center of your inner being. Okay, it is the essence of who you are. All right. So when we look at the letter Lamed, what we are looking at is we're looking at a letter that also looks like a shepherd's rod. Okay, a shepherd's rod. Now, now when you look at Lamed, what does it look like to you? Okay, because we have we have the different commentaries, the Hebrew teachers, the sages, the people of Hebrew wisdom, and they tell us what the letter looks like to them. But I want to hear from you. What does this letter look like to you? Okay, because as as a prophetic language, we have to also discern what a letter looks like. What does it mean to us? What am I seeing? Okay, in my imagination, or what am I seeing? All right, so Lamed, in some pictures, Lamed represents the shepherd's rod. And the shepherd's rod, the rod actually stands for, it actually stands for the shepherd goading the sheep to move or to do a certain action. So whenever the shepherd is engaging with the sheep, he uses his rod to get them moving. Okay, I hope that that's a great picture for y'all, because I believe this is a month where, as we connect with the Father, He's going to cause us to move in our hearts. He's going to cause us to do certain things in our heart. Okay. He's going to goad us, or he's going to move us. Goad is probably not the best word, but he's going to move us, and he's going to cause us to do certain things in this month. Because and whenever God is speaking to us and dealing with us, God always deals with our heart. All right. So Lamed also means to learn and to teach. So this is a month where we are to learn. So this is a month for us to connect with teachers and those who teach the word of God. And as much as I love teachers, I love prophetic teachers, because a teacher is one who takes the knowledge and takes the wisdom and then imparts it to us in a way that causes us to understand. But the prophetic always brings the heart of God in the midst of it. Okay. And so for years, when I was a pastor, and I was my primary goal as a pastor was to preach every Sunday, every month. And so the majority of the Sundays I was preaching, but I was also teaching. But it wasn't until I came into the prophetic, that my teaching started to change, because then I was hearing God in the midst of my teaching. So I wasn't just explaining the scripture and just explaining the passages of the scripture, or imparting my explanation, or imparting my knowledge and understanding, but I was speaking the heart of God. And whenever there's a prophetic, even when the apostle is prophetic, when the prophet is prophetic, when the teacher is prophetic, when the pastor is prophetic, when the evangelist is prophetic, okay, then that brings the heart of God, that communicate, that brings the heart of God, and it brings the now, what God is saying now. All right. So in Hebrew understanding, and this is why I prayed tonight, I was led to pray that the Lord will give us a Hebrew mindset, because in the Hebrew mindset, we learn in the heart, okay, so that we will understand what we are learning, and so that we will do what we're learning. Okay, now the difference between, and Apostle Patrick Brown of Renewal Center did an excellent teaching on the difference between the Hebrew mindset and the Greek mindset. We're going to have him on to share that teaching with us. But see, we come out of a tradition that has been greatly influenced by the Greeks. So all of our cultural institutions, such as education, religion, government, commerce, okay, medicine, all of that has been influenced by the Greek knowledge, or the Greek understanding. And so the primary belief of the Greeks. They believed that man was God, and they believed that knowledge was the greatest, that knowledge was the greatest thing that a man could possess. And so they built their whole culture on the intellect, on the brain, the mind. They built it on education. The more a person knows, the more they are like God. And even the understanding that knowledge is power comes from the Greek mindset. Okay. And so because because our world is so influenced by the Greek, we believe that all we need is knowledge, all we need is information, all we need is education. All right. But the Hebrew mindset, which is the mind of God, it's what God has imparted to the Hebrew people. And by giving it to the Hebrew people, he made it available to all races. He didn't just give this to the Hebrews for them singularly, but one of the reasons why Jewish people are so successful and why they are so wealthy and why they are leaders is because of the Hebrew mindset. And the Hebrew mindset says that we learn to do. We learn to do. Okay. We are learning so that we will do what we learn. The Greek mindset is all we need to do is learn. So there are people that all they do is learn. All they do is to keep getting educated. They keep going to classes. They keep going to courses. They're just hungry for knowledge, but they never do anything with what they are learning. The Hebrew mindset is we learn to do. So we are learning to act. Our learning motivates us to perform or to carry out certain actions. Okay. And so the number 30 is linked to Lamed, and the number 30 represents ministry, because a man in Israel, a man had to be 30 years old before he could be a priest. Jesus was 30 years old when he began his ministry. So one of the I think one of the prophetic meanings, and I was just talking with my mentor last night, and we was talking about ministry, but I believe this is a month where many are going to enter into ministry. They're going to enter into their callings of ministry. All right. This is a season of calling, and it is a season of coming into your ministry. So that's very exciting. That's very exciting. But it is also a month to learn and to do. And it is the month of the teacher. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. The next Hebrew letter is the letter Vav. Is the letter Vav. All right. So Vav is the sixth letter in the alphabet, and it is linked to the number 6. So sometimes the number is linked to the number that it is positioned, and then as we move up, then the numbers also begin to move up. So the Vav is a hook. Okay, the Vav is a hook. I didn't get anyone to say what did the letter Lamed look like to you? Okay, so I want y'all to think about that. And if you come up with a meaning before we are done tonight, I want you to write, what does that letter look like to you? So I want you to engage your prophetic imagination. Okay, what is that letter saying to you? Okay, what is that letter speaking to you? Now, because I've been teaching this for so many years, the letter, it basically says to me what its meaning is, but it may be saying something else to you. Okay. All right. So here we have the letter Vav, and the letter Vav represents a hook. Okay. And so as a hook, the Vav connects heaven and earth. Okay. It also represents security, because many times a tent is secure because it has a hook in it. Okay, which means that if a wind comes, it can't be blown away. All right, so the Vav also represents security. The Vav, however, prophetically, it means that there is a connection between the earthly and the spiritual. Okay. It is a connection between the earthly and the spiritual, which then creates the supernatural. Okay. So even though we was created from the earth, Adam was created from the dust of the ground, and we are earthly people, and we should never ignore our earthly connection. But we also want to be connected. We also want to recognize the spiritual part of us. And the vow means that the spiritual and the earthly is coming together. Okay. And that creates the supernatural. So this is a month where the Father is saying, pay attention to the connection between the earthly, okay, and the spiritual. All right. And pay attention to you being a supernatural being. That's an awesome thing, y'all, that we are both earthly and spiritual. We don't have to just be spiritual. We don't just have to be earthly, but the vow actually brings the two together. Prophetically, Vavism represents the man, because Vav again is linked to the number 6. And on the 6th day of creation, what happened? God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. So we was created on the 6th day. So then we are the Vav. So whenever you see that number Vav, the number Vav is saying that you are the Vav. You was created to be the Vav. God created you to bring heaven and earth together. That's why he created us from the earth, and then he set us in the earth. Okay. He could have created us to be angels, because he has many angels that are also created beings, but the angels were created for the heavens. They live in the heavens, even though they do walk in the earth as they help us. Okay. That's interesting. Olurimi says that it looks like a sink. Okay, so prophetically, Olurimi, what does a sink mean? I'm already getting a prophetic word from sink. Okay, but I want to get some feedback from you. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so we are the Vav. We was created on the 6th day, and we was created to bring together heaven and earth. We was created to be supernatural beings. And even though Adam and Eve fell in the garden, fell into sin, that does not mean that they lost their supernatural. Okay. All right. So man was created on the 6th day, and then God told man to work 6 days. Okay. So the number 6 also represents work. All right. But then also the 6th day it represents completeness, because it represents the completeness of the week. All right. So if you're like me, I look forward to Fridays, okay, for different reasons. But one of the reasons I look forward to Friday is because I don't work on Saturdays. And so Friday is the last work day for me. All right. And so I look forward to having a successful work week, but I also look forward to coming into the 7th day. All right. All right. So that's the letter. That's the Hebrew letter Vav. All right. So let's go to now. As I said this already, so I'm not going to repeat it, but we have 2 laments. All right. So the emphasis in this month is the Lord is dealing with our hearts. All right. Okay, Deborah saying look like the outline of a toilet. Okay, what does that mean, Deborah? I'm sorry, I'm laughing because that's a great picture. That's a great picture. All right. And Cheyenne says it looks like a question. So y'all see how the Aleph Bet is really it's pictorial. It's not like English is composed of words, letters that creates words, but The Hebrew alphabet is composed of pictures. So you can actually see, you can get a different picture in the spirit. And then we bring it all together. So I'm already looking at Olarimi. She's looking at my med. She sees a sink. Deborah sees a toilet, and Cheyenne sees a question. Okay, so so to bring those three together means that the prophetic is operating because we prophesy in part. Okay, so I appreciate y'all for sharing that. All right. So one of the things that's taking place that will take place in this month is the Lord is going to deal with our heart, because the Lord is is dealing with our heart. And so the Lord is also teaching us, and the Lord is wanting us to learn. And then the Lord wants our hearts to be activated. Okay. Now, for the Bible studies for Renaissance, which will start, I don't think I'm going to do one next Tuesday because of I may and I may not. So, but I think I'm going to take next Tuesday off. But when we start the Bible study for the month of Elul/September, we're going to be looking at prayer. But we're going to be looking at prayer from the Hebrew letter Pei. And so one of the things that praying is praying with the heart. And the heart is supposed to be from the word paleo. Paleo means to pray from the heart. All right, so we're going to be teaching on that. So Olarimi says that a sink is a conduit, and we receive a word prophetically from Holy Spirit that flows. That we receive a word from Holy Spirit that flows to us and then through us, which is the drain of the saint. That's very good, Olarimi. Thank you. Very powerful. Very powerful. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so this is because there's two lameds, then that means that this month we want to pay attention to the heart. Okay. Now one of the traditional, and I don't bring a lot of traditional context into the teachings that I do, because I want to do this from a vantage point of of the prophetic, and I really just want to do this as the Holy Spirit is giving it to me. But Elul is the month. One of the meanings that you'll hear if you're hearing other teachings on Elul, Elul is the month where the king is in the field. Okay, where the king is in the field. Stephanie says it looks like the male missing a leg, more like a man buying for submission. Okay, so I see Stephanie already is aware of the alphabet or the Hebrew alphabet, and we are coming into this year that we're coming into 5783 is the year of Pei Gamel. All right, and so I saw Octavia said 7. I just wasn't sure, because it was just one letter. I wasn't sure if she was giving, if she was saying that's the number she sees, or if she was speaking to something specific. So sometimes I need complete words and sentences to understand. All right. So thank you, Stephanie, for sharing that. All right. So this is the month where the king is in the field. Okay. Now, and again, this is historic. It can have prophetic meanings if we receive it as such. But historically, the king who lives in the palace and who governs in the palace was a place where you had to enter into in order to meet the king. So the palace represents a place of intimacy and communion, and everybody cannot get into the palace. So in order to see the king, you have to have an appointment, and you have to get past the guards, and sometimes you have to see an envoy and all of that. Okay. And so, one of the purposes of every season or every month, one of the purposes is to meet with the king, because the word season, the Hebrew word for season is moed, and moed means appointed time. So that means that in every season or every month, there is an appointed time to meet with the king. So you should have appointed times where you are meeting with the king. No matter what's going on in your season, there should be an appointed time to meet the king in the palace, or to enter into the tents of the king, or to enter into the palace. Of Psalms 100, which is one of my favorite psalms, says, "Let us enter into his courts," okay, with praise. And so praise becomes the key that brings us into the courts, which is the habitation of the king within his palace. But during the month of Elul, that's what makes this a different month. During the month of Elul, the king would come out of the palace, and he would set up a tent. He would set up a tent in the field. And the people would not need an appointment. They would just simply go to the king in the field. So then for this 1 month, Elul, the king is accessible to everyone. So you didn't need an appointment. You didn't need to get by the king, by the guards. You didn't have to see the king's secretary or the scribe. You can just go into the field. Okay, now, what does the field represent for you? So whenever I see the word field, I immediately go to Renaissance. And so one of the areas where I'm expecting the Lord to meet me in this month, I'm expecting him to meet me in the Renaissance Prophetic Network. So one of the things the Lord told me to do is to meet with my mentees who are members of Renaissance, all right? And so I'm expecting and looking forward to meeting with y'all, because I believe the Father is going to meet us in that meeting, all right? But Renaissance is one of my fields, okay? Now, my job is one of my fields. My business is one of my fields. My relationships are one of my fields. So I am expecting, instead of me going into the palace to meet the king, okay, I'm expecting the king to come and meet me, all right, in the fields. And so this is a month where the king is accessible. All right. Now, again, I'm speaking prophetically, not religiously. Okay. I'm not talking about you going to a building, because a lot of people believe that you got to go to a church building, and that church building represents the palace. It doesn't always represent the palace. A lot of times that church building represents hindrance. So, but I'm talking about the very presence of the king. All right. So the field, there's several things that the field represents. First, it represents agreement. Okay, so in your field, okay, the king is coming to meet you, and the king is coming to establish agreement with you. So this is a month of agreement, to be in agreement. And if you are in agreement with the Father, then you should be in agreement with everyone else. It is also, this month also, the field represents an open door. Okay, so the king's door is open, and he is accessible, but also because the king is in the field, that means that there are opportunities. Okay, there are opportunities in this month for you. And then the field also is a place of revelation. So this is a month to gain revelation. So I'm not just talking about 1 month where the Lord comes to us, okay? But I'm speaking in the sense of us living in seasons. And when we live in seasons, that means there are certain purposes that we want to go after, we want to emphasize, and there are certain seasons that we want to plan. So Elul is a month where the king is coming where we are. So we want to open the door for him to enter in and for him to come in. All right. So here's our wrap up. Here's our wrap up for the month. All right. This is a month where the Father wants to meet us. and the Father wants to connect with us. So that's the Aleph. Okay, the Father is always reaching out to us as his sons, and it is his desire to connect with us. All right, and then because we have the double Lamed, this is a month where the Father wants us to learn his ways and understand his ways so that we will begin to imitate his ways. Okay, so that we will imitate the ways of God. All right. All right. And then number 3, the Father wants our hearts to change. And I'm not just talking about a heart of sin. I'm not talking about a hard heart, but change or transformation is one of the realities that God is always calling us to. So let this be a month of transformation. Let this be a month where your heart is changing in whatever way that means, and really seek the Lord on how your heart needs to change, how you need to have his heart. Okay. Remember David. David was the man after God's heart. David lived his life singularly to know God and to worship God. All right. So the Lord wants to change our hearts. And then the Lord wants to meet us where we are. So the king is in the field this month. The king is where we are. So look for God in your workplace. Okay, a lot of times, and it can be a challenge because you're working with people who are not believers. You're working with people who are troublemakers. You're working with gossips. You're working with troubles. You're working with people who will betray you. But this month, look for God in your workplace. Look for God in your field. Look for God in your business. All right. Look for the king is in your field. He is coming where you are. And he wants to be where you are. He wants to meet us where we are this month. And then this is the month before the new year, because next month, Teshri, which is the 7th month, also Teshri is the month of Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. And so this is also an ending month. Now, this is very important, okay? Because this is an ending month, this is a month for you to finish some things. This is a month for you to finish something. And I know you're thinking, well, this ain't December. But in the Hebrew calendar, remember that this is God's calendar. God established this calendar as a prophetic sign of Israel coming out of Egypt. And so that is also a spiritual picture of us coming out of the world. So one of the ways we want to come out of the world is we want to understand the time and seasons of God. So this month represents an ending for us. And then Rosh Hashanah is actually on September the 25th, which is just about, 26 days from now. But pay attention, okay? This is a month for us to end some things as we are coming into the new year where we're going to begin some things, all right? So listen, God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight. And again, if you want to give, there's a PayPal link at the top of our chat box. There's also our Cash App if you're desirous to give to our ministry, even though, again, this is not really, this is what we do for our YouTube channel. And so, but if you want to give to our ministry, Renaissance Prophetic Network, you can. And if you're interested in joining us in the creative coaching session, because I am a coach, that's my business. I'm an apostle, that's my ministry, but I'm a coach, that's my business. So I'm in ministry and I'm in the marketplace. And so if you want to join us on, which will be September the 10th, and hopefully I can I'll be sending out an email to my mailing list telling them that we're changing the Saturday. So we will not be meeting this Saturday for the group session, but we'll be meeting on the 10th. All right. So if you're interested in being a part of that, then you can go to the link and register, and we'll have more information for you. Okay. Any questions from any of you? You've been a great. Hey, Lila, good seeing you. You've been a great audience, and I just enjoy teaching you. Enjoy teaching you so much. Enjoy sharing with you, because I don't like to really call this teaching. it's just sharing the prophetic meaning for the month. Okay. And my hopes is that as I share this with you, that you'll walk in it, but you will also develop your own prophetic understanding of the month. Okay. All right. So anyone have any questions for me? Any comments? We're going to just wait a couple of minutes and then we're going to be signing off. All right. Listen, this Sunday, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but this Sunday we'll be meeting for worship here on YouTube. So for you that are Renaissance, you're in Renaissance, but that's, again, our worship is for everyone. So if you want to join us for worship, we didn't meet last month because I was ministering in Greensboro, North Carolina, but we're going to be meeting this Sunday for the month Elul. Okay, so that will be this Sunday at 11 o'clock, and I look forward. If you're not in a ministry and you want to be a part, you can join us. And I do a teaching. We have some prophetic, some prophecy going forward, prophetic words going forth. We share communion as a community and all of that. So Shaquita says so many confirmations. I'm glad, thankful to the Lord that he is confirming some things in your life. So thank you for being on with us. Okay. Anyone else? Good to see you, Yvonne. Good seeing you, Lila. Always a blessing for praying warrior. Amani, thank you for being with us. I think this is my first time seeing you, and then our members from Renaissance, Olurimi, Cheyenne, Deborah. Thank y'all for always supporting, and you're such a faithful group of mentees. Thank you so much. Octavia, thank you for joining with us tonight. All right. I'm glad, Lila. I'm glad. So this is a month for us to end some things, even as the Lord is ending some things. And then next month is a month for us to begin. So when you are beginning something, you want to prepare. So let this be a month of preparation, but then let this be a month of endings. Okay. So I'm glad that spoke to you. All right. Thank you, Deborah, for the encouragement. All right. So listen, we're signing off, and thank you again. Hey, Shayla, always good to see you. And we look forward to connecting again. Okay. All right. God bless you. God bless you all. Shalom.